Hi folks, welcome back to the B29 restoration project. So first of all, I'm going to apologize for the creaking in the background. I'm standing on a stool and it's not the greatest one. But anyways, we're here working on the main landing gear doors. Here you can see I've already got this inboard door done. The other side, both of those doors are already done as well. So I'm going to kind of show you my roundabout method of figuring all of this out. Let me grab my little arts and craft project over here and we'll get started. So I'm going to preface this with saying that I'm very much a visual person. I am sure the people that are smarter than me could figure this out without drawing stuff, but like I said, I'm visual. So basically what I do is I take a measurement or an angular measurement of the nacelle here from the pivot point and more or less a flat line from the pivot to the center of the door, and I figure out from the vertical wall, that's the inside of the wheel well, I figure out that angle, and then I draw a vertical line and then I put that angle here to show us the door closed position, and then I decide I need at least 85 degrees of open, preferably 90. That way we get a good bit of a good bit of clearance. And then from that point, I basically take the stroke of my actuator, and the actuators that I'm using are these. I bought these off of eBay. You can also get them off of Alibaba. I think it's what it is, Alibaba, or one of those places. I don't know. I'll post the link up. These off eBay were about 38 bucks a pop. They're really nice. They're all metal. They're RC controlled. The only thing I really don't like about them is there's no switches at the end, and there's no cutoff function. So once it gets to the end, if you don't have a way of stopping it, the signal going from your receiver, it basically just keeps supplying power, and these things get really, really hot. The other thing that's kind of weird about it is your servo function. So in this case, I'm just using a little servo driver, and here at the middle where neutral is technically off, and as you twist the knob further to one side dictates which direction the actuator moves and how fast it moves, not the position that it stops at. So if you just barely turn it a little bit, it moves very, very slowly until it gets to the end, and then it keeps continually trying to move, but since it can't, the physical stop prevents it, it just stalls the motor and it starts building up heat. Comparatively, if you turn it all the way, it moves as quickly as it physically can till it gets to the end, it stalls, and again it builds up heat. So what I have figured out is that you have to run these on some sort of sequencer to where you can turn it all the way with the flip of a switch, and then once it gets to the position that it needs to be, it basically turns the servo off, more or less, for lack of a better term. And then when you want to go the other way, it flips the switch, it goes all the way back to the other way until it gets to the end, and then it basically comes back to neutral to turn it off. And that's the only way you can really get it to not build up heat and eventually just fry itself. With the Jetty, I can do that with just by using the sequencer that's built in, I'm pretty sure, to where I can just run the line, I can drop it down to where make it move, and then bring it back to neutral to where it doesn't have any power applied to make it go one way or the other. So that's my thing. If you've got a built-in sequencer in your transmitter, I would expect pretty much any transmitter to be able to do it. So besides that little hiccup with these, for 38 bucks, these are really, really nice compared to the Electrons, which I really, really like those. The problem with the Electrons in this instance is they're just too big. Once we get this one put in and we retract the landing gear, you'll see just how little space there is for these things, and these will fit. The Electrons wouldn't. Matter of fact, if you tried to put a pneumatic cylinder any bigger than this, and this is about the size of a number 2 pencil, that wouldn't fit. So space-wise, we're very limited on what we got. But anyways, back to my little drawing here. I took the stroke of this actuator, which is 50 millimeters, and then basically I just take a ruler and I go across from closed to the open position until I have 0 here and 50 millimeters here, and I make little marks, and then I measure it, and then I figure out the difference from the center line or the pivot point, and then I just move it where it is, and then I make that measurement, and that is where I put my connection at the door for the open and the closed position, and then I just take my actuator or my air cylinder, and then I lay it here, and then I put it wherever I want. As far as, like, you can see here, I originally had much shorter mounts than this, where they were only about 1/2 inch off the wall. So you can see the little plus sign here, and then the actuator would go here to there. This doesn't work out perfect every time. It worked out almost, well, actually it was a little off on that door. I ended up having to move the extension, or move the door attachment point out about 3/8 of an inch, about 3/10 or so. And then I did the exact same thing here on this door, and oddly enough, this door I had to bring it back about 3/10 of an inch. So, like I said, it's not perfect, but if you're a visual person, this, like I am, this works really, really well for kind of giving you an idea of what it is, and it at least gets you in the ballpark. Bracket wise, as you notice, this one is on there. These are just 3D printed out of PETG. This is my 3rd iteration. Like I said, I had some shorter ones, and then I realized that once the door fully opens, that the cylinder was hitting the edge of the corner up here, so it was just basically popping the mount off. So I made these, which are about 1/2 inch longer, which exacerbates the lack of space issue inside the wheel well. The door side is also 3D printed, again out of PETG. Sorry about the noise in the background. The part here that the actuator actually attaches to, let me adjust the camera here, is 4 millimeters thick. The rest of it's 3 millimeters, and it just uses a couple of 256 bolts to bolt it to the door, and then a single 440 bolt to attach the actuator to the bracket, and I'll put a lock nut here on the back. There you can see the other end. The actuator is just held in place with 4 number 4 screws, which are probably way overkill, because on this side, that is directly under the camera, the plywood does not come as far forward because of the sweep of the leading edge, so you actually want to get 2 bolts on that side. So anyways, that's kind of my preparation for doing doors. Now I'm going to show you kind of how I go about actually doing the door. So, alright, so the door, when I made these earlier, I went ahead and just kept the hinges on there, which I had to clean up a lot of paint on them. For temporary little pins, I've just got some L pins here that I use to just slide in to hold the door in place. The bracket on this door, which you can see now, is just tack glued in with a couple of tacks of medium CA and some kicker. Really nothing special about any of that. Let's see here. Get this rear hinge pin in, and then I've got a couple of 256 bolts holding the hinges to the door instead of gluing them. That way, if you ever have to replace them, they're fairly simple to get to, or simple to replace. The issue with that is they kind of flex the hinge a little bit to where they don't line up the greatest anymore. So I might have to loosen up some of that stuff to make it fit better. Alright, let's see here. This camera's just going to be in my way like that, so say hello to my face. Alright, this might work a little bit better. Let's see how it goes. It's a struggle bus with this one. There we go. Alright, that'll work for now. See, it closes. I also had to come in here and trim off the forward ledge that I put for the door stop. Once you put the actuator there, it hits, so it wouldn't really work all that well. And I also did a little bit of trimming on the door, which apparently I need to do a little bit more on the back side here. So, anyways, now we've got that going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the actuator to the bracket with the bolt. Again, this bracket is attached to this door at the same dimension as the other side that I figured out was a little bit more than what my arts and craft drawing said. So this one I fully expect it not to open fully. I expect it to be kind of a little bit closed. But once I've got that done, I've got the brackets in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close the door. Well, I'm going to squirt some accelerator on the sidewall in here. And then I'm going to put a couple of drops of CA here on the bracket. And then I'm going to close the door, attach the bracket to the bulkheads in here with a sidewall, which apparently I'm going to have to clean up some. Interesting. This leading edge is a little bit different than that one, so I'm going to have to go in there and clean up a little bit of goop that's in the way. But basically, I'm going to tack glue the bracket to this plywood sidewall and then actuate the door to make sure it's going to work properly. All right, so that piece of glue I think is cleaned up enough. What I also found out is that the actuator was not fully collapsed in there. So hook up the servo driver with a battery. Now we'll see if it, oh yeah, now it fits really nice. So now I'm going to try and keep my hand and my head out of the way so you all can see what's going on in here. Yep, that should work. So now, like I said, I'm going to put some accelerator here on the sidewall. A couple of drops of CA here on the mounting bracket. And one thing I have to do is I actually have to keep these bolts attached up here on the door side a little loose so I can actually move this bracket as far forward as I possibly can. And now the door is closed. Luckily there's a big enough gap for that wire to not get broken. And now I'm just pushing the bracket up against the wall until the CA sets, which is done. And now we're gonna operate the door to see if it'll open far enough. You can see these actuators are kind of slow, but they'll push 5 kilograms of force. So while they're slow, they're very strong, which I'm very happy with. There we go. So there's the door fully open. It's actually hitting the bulkhead down here a little bit. That's why it kind of sounded like it was a little labored. But this door, as expected, is not open enough. So what I need to do is I need to take this door off and move this bracket down just a wee little bit. So since I have to do that, I'm going to pop the inside bracket loose. Well, we'll just retract the thing for now. And now that it's like one extension, I'm bringing back the driver to neutral so it's not continuing to actuate the driver one way or the other. So pop that bracket loose. I'm going to remove this one. And the reason why I have to pop both sides of the bracket loose is because if I don't pop this side, the nacelle side loose, when I move this one down to get it to open further, it's just gonna kind of throw the whole thing off and it's not going to close all the way, so you end up having to move everything a little bit. So in this instance, I'm going to really just kind of guess at 3/10 of an inch. I know that the general location is pretty close to what I need. I said, oop, that's way too big of a blob of glue, but we'll just tack this bracket here to the door. And then we'll do the same thing all over again. All right, now we'll let the thing open and we'll see how it does. Oh yeah, that's much better. And now that it's fully extended, we'll bring it back to neutral so it doesn't keep trying to power the actuator and cause it to burn out. So this door actually opens further than any of the other ones. So I could actually move it just a little bit further up. But I would much rather have it open too much than not enough. So now that we've got the door bracket and everything about where we want it, one of the issues here inside of the nacelle, which is really the main issue, is the clearance between these two brackets and then the tires as they come in. So what I'm going to do is we're going to retract the wheels on this side and we'll see if we get good clearance. It's only 12 volts power in the retracts at the moment, which is a little less than what it should be. Originally I think they were using about 22 volts to power this, but that's why it sounds a little labored. But you can see down in there, as the tires allow gravity to kind of take up the slop in the retract mechanism, you see that bracket flexes just a little bit on both sides. But really, I mean, I could get rid of the regular socket head bolt, probably put a button head bolt in there, and that'll make a little bit of extra clearance, which I may end up doing on this side. The other side is a little bit worse clearance wise, but as you can see, everything retracts as it should. So I'm happy with that and how it is for now. So back here inside of this thing, I'm going to unplug the servo, actuator, battery, whatever you want to call it, all of that stuff. And I'm going to take my Dremel tool with the 90-degree angle attachment, and then I'm just going to use the holes that are in the bracket to drill the mounting holes. And then we'll use a pair of number 4 sheet metal screws and some oversized washers to attach the bracket to the piece of plywood. Like I said, this one only gets 2 bolts because here at the very front, the plywood for the engine block side doesn't, or the wheel well doesn't come all the way forward because of, or as far forward because of the leading edge. So we only get 2 bolts here. These brackets really don't take too long. It's about 3 hours to print 6 of them. So I'll just have a handful of them on hand for if they ever break while we're at an event or whatnot. So we'll have spares. So I'm not going to bore you guys with much more of the whole gear door thing. The brackets here on the door, like I said, they're screwed in. Again, they're just number 2 screws with some lock nuts. There's the 3 there, and then here on the other side, they're just countersunk flathead screws. And I did that for the hinges, and I'll also do it for the bracket on this side. And that pretty much takes care of all of the gear door stuff